how to create this cookie using shapes, right? So to start off, we're gonna go over to our left toolbar and we're gonna go ahead and click on shapes. And of course, we have the free shapes available. And if we scroll down, we would be able to see the Cricut Access shapes. Of course, you know that we need Cricut Access membership to be able to use these additional shapes. But I think that we can get by with just our free options. So one of the main uses for shapes would be to create a design from scratch, right? You want to create something completely from scratch. You're going to use some of the shapes here. There is also another use for shapes, and that is to remove unwanted items from an existed image, right? And the awesome thing about today's tutorial, where I'm using shapes to create a cookie, is that we are going to be able to use both, or we are going to be able to see both functions of these shapes again to create something completely brand new from scratch, and also to remove unwanted items. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and click on a circle, right? And our circle is here on the screen. I am going to go ahead and make my cookie. Oops, undo. Select the entire thing, make it small, and just move it over to this side. This is just a reference photo, so we'll see what we're trying to achieve, right? And now we have this big circle here. What I want to do is duplicate that, right? And we could duplicate, or we could go back to shapes and select a completely new circle. Either way is fine, right? I'm gonna go ahead and make this circle small, and I want at least four of these small circles. So me duplicate again just a few times until I have at least, let's do five, right? So I have one off to the side, and now I have these, and they're perfectly assembled similar to how I want them, right? I'm just gonna stack them one on top of each other, one on top of the other, and it's going to form a slight curve. I'm going to form a very slight curve with these circles, right? This is what we want it to look like. Okay. And the next step here would be to select all four of these circles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click anywhere on my screen and then drag so that I cover all four of these smaller circles, just the four smaller circles, right? And if we go over to this panel, we'll see our four circles selected here, and we have a few different options, right? So this tutorial here, we're going to dive into a few more advanced features, but nothing is difficult. Just by focusing on what I do here, you'll be able to learn how to do this for yourself, right? So my four circles are selected, and I'm going to come across here, and we have a few options. We have a slice that is grayed out right now, but we will get to that soon. Then we have combine, we have attach, and we have flatten. I'm going to go ahead and click on combine, and in combine we have a few different options. We can intersect it, we can exclude it, we can subtract it, we can unite it, or we can weld. Weld is what we're going to focus on today. Once I click on that, let me see. Right, we see that it no longer appears as four circles. This is an item or an image, whatever you want to call it, all by itself, right? This is its own unique item now. Um, the circles no longer exist. They are fused together. We don't even see the lines in between where they were joined, right? And it's going to act as one. I don't have to drag and select anymore. I can just simply click on it because it's now one item, right? What I want to do now is go to my circle. I'm making this just a little bit bigger, and I am using this to make the impression of a bite mark, right? And this is what I'm going to be showing you, how we can use shapes firstly to create something completely new, right? How we can we just learned how to combine it by welding, right? So now we took four shapes, four circles, and we created this design. This could also be a really cool caterpillar if that was necessary, right? But now we want to use this to create an impression in our cookie, or a cutout from this circle to make it look like a bite mark. So I'm gonna line it up right where I want it to go, right? And I am gonna do the same thing I did just now. I'm gonna click and drag to select all of this. Once that is done, it's selected. And now we have slice. Slice was previously grayed out, but now I can access it. I am gonna click on slice. And right where the both images overlapped, it's gonna give me a cutout. So I can remove these pieces. This is what I'm left with, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete this extra piece over here because I don't need these pieces anymore. Right, I'm gonna go ahead, delete. This is what I am left with. Now, what I want to do is duplicate this so that I have two identical cookies in terms of the size. Sorry, oops, I adjusted the size. Why did it go so far down? Right, so I have my two identical cookies. I am going to go ahead and change the color. So we are also going to be making use of this top toolbar here. Click on this block right next to operation, and I'm gonna put one of them in this dark brown and the other in this light chocolate chip looking color. All right, so once that is done, we have these two identical shapes but with different colors, and this is where my circle is gonna come in. Of course, if I did not use this, so I deleted it by mistake, I can go back here, get a new circle, right? Why does it go so far down? Oh my. Just trying to bring this up. Give me 1 second. Right. So I have my circle here, and I'm gonna make it small, about the size of a chocolate chip, and I want to make a few of these. So I'm gonna duplicate this a few times, quite a few times. Right? We have a few of them, and I'm just gonna place it where I would want my chocolate chip to be. Essentially, this is all up to you, right? So I'm gonna place one here. I'm gonna click and drag, and I'm making sure to select the chocolate chip as well as my cookie, and I'm gonna come over here to slice, and this is gonna give me a cutout in my cookie that is the size of the circle. Right, just waiting for it to be done. Once that's done, I can remove it. Right, and we see I have, this is what I'm left with. I'm left with this, and my cookie now has a hole right where that circle was placed. I can delete these extra pieces, and I'm gonna go again with another circle, and I'm just gonna do that a few times across my all over my cookie. Let me just move this around, right? And I just want to bring my circle to the top so that you can see it. I'm gonna click and drag to select and slice. Right after slicing, after slicing, I am going to delete these unwanted parts, and I'm gonna go again. What I want to show you though, you cannot use more than two items at once for the slice feature. If you try to slice with three things at the same time, it's not gonna work, right? So the cookie is its own item, and now I have two circles. This is an item, this is an item, my cookie is an item. If I try to slice here, I can select it, but I would only have access to combine, attach, flatten, but I won't have access to slice. In order to use this feature, you can only have two items being, you can only use it with two items at a time, right? Not a third item. So I'm just gonna place my chocolate chip, select, slice, and delete the unwanted part. I'm going to go ahead and do that a few more times until I am satisfied with my cookie. Right. This one I just want it to be kind of slightly chipped off the side. Select, slice, right, and delete this unwanted part. Using up all of these circles. I'm gonna do another one that is slightly off to the side. Select, slice, and I'm going to delete the unwanted parts. Doing it one more time, perhaps one, if not two more times. Sorry, this is getting a bit boring. Right, we're almost done. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete these two unwanted circles. Right? Maybe I'll just do one more. I feel like this cookie is looking better than my example up here. We have a lot more chocolate chips. Right, slice again and remove the unwanted parts. Right, I have one more circle left over. I'm not going to use this one. I'm just going to probably leave it right there or delete it. And now we have a cookie. I can just lay this on top. And of course, if you're using permanent vinyl, maybe you're using cardstock, you can also get more creative with this. You can use different size chocolate chips, make them bigger, smaller. But again, these principles can be used on a completely different design, right? You don't have to make chocolate chip cookies alone. You can apply the same principles to any other design that you might have. Another feature that I want to go ahead and show you while we are at it is how to use a line. A design like this would need to be very flush on top of each other, right? We want to make sure that it's lined up perfectly. It's very easy to do this, and we can think that we are spot on, but we can be a few millimeters off, right? We want to be accurate, and to save us all the drama of trying to line it up, we use this align feature. It's grayed out right now, but once we click and drag to select, we now have access to align. Once I click on align, I have a few different options. I can align top, so height wise, it went up to the exact same starting point at the top. But in this case, we want it to be stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to click align and I'm going to click center. So align center is going to put it perfectly on top of each other. Let me just do that again. Align center, and it's perfectly on top of each other, and you have just created your very own chocolate chip cookie. Isn't that exciting? Before we move on, I just want to give you one more example of how we use shapes to remove unwanted parts of an item. We just use it to create a design from scratch, right? Um, and we also used it to remove a bunch of unwanted parts. We didn't want this spot here. We removed all these circles, and of course we removed this piece to make it look like a bite mark, right? But I am gonna go ahead and click on image, right? There will be a separate video going in depth on images, right? The focus of this one is shapes, how to use shapes to our advantage. Um, there was something that I found earlier, and I'm just trying to get that back. to show you. Right, we have this kind of sea creature here, right? Um, and let's say we're creating a design and we need a sea creature, but we only want the head of the sea creature. I don't want to cut out all these unnecessary parts because it's not, it's not important for my design. So I have this super cool sea creature. Let me just move my cookies around and make them a little smaller, right? Yeah, we can do that. Also, too, if I just try to move this here just like that, it's not gonna be, it's gonna move individually, and then I'll have to align it all over again. So, what we can do to avoid that is go to the top here. We have duplicate, we have delete, we also have group, and I am gonna group these together. So now just by clicking on it once, I don't have to hold and drag, right? I can just click on it once and it acts as one item. It moves together. Just a quick thing that popped into my mind. Anyway, so we're on to our sea creature, and I just want the head, right? I don't want the tail and all these curly swirly parts. So I'm gonna go back, click on shapes, and I can use basically anything here, but I'm gonna go ahead with the square. Click on the square, and I'm gonna make it big enough to cover the portion that I do not want. And maybe we'll have to do it twice because of this, because of the way that this is angled. Of course, you can curve it like this. This would be the best way to do it, right? That way we can get close up here without cutting off any of the parts that we do want to keep, right? So just go ahead, cover it up like this to make sure, right? Make sure that it covers entirely. What you can do is put your sea dragon up to the top on your layers panel. Make sure that it's on top of the square. What is happening here? Sorry about that, guys. My laptop is not the most reliable. Right. So it's now on top, and we see that it covers the entire unwanted part perfectly. I'm gonna go ahead, click and drag, make sure that I select both the sea dragon as well as my square, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on slice. Right. Now I can delete these unwanted parts. I can delete this big square, and now the body can be moved away from the head. Delete, right? And I'm gonna delete this as well. So now I have the head of my sea dragon. This is what I wanted for my design. And now after this video, you would have learned how to create your own design from scratch using shapes. We also learned another function of shapes, which would be to slice, right? We use that to remove unwanted parts of an image. And I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. You can leave a comment below and tell me if this was helpful, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.